You know, I'm a real nuisance to my family, I think. They don't know what to do with me, and that much is clear every time I, have a little outburst, and it's just like a fun outburst, Just yesterday, I was in my room, the door was open, and then I just decided to go, love is such a beautiful thing, the song that was in my heart, and love is a beautiful thing. And then you just hear the footsteps coming here and say, hey, is that you? Stop that, They don't like it at all, Just to give you another example, like when it was New Year's and New Year's 2024, you have the countdown, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, Happy New Year! I'm shouting at the top of my lungs, Happy New Year! And you know what I get? I get a shh. Can you imagine that? Imagine getting shooshed, shouting about Happy New Year. And that's just how it is here in the Kutsia household. We just I just get shooshed a lot. I'm like, keep quiet, I always get told, keep quiet, stop making a noise, And obviously in the defense of my siblings, it was late last night that I'm like, love is such a beautiful thing, just singing like that, and much louder than that, though, I'll be honest, and it was late, so yeah, I'll give them that. But yeah, I'll even like maybe do some random noises, like if I just get into the kitchen, then I'm like, oh, just random noises. I like sound. I like making different sounds, and whatever sound comes to my mind, I wanna make it. I just wanna make the noise, and so it's always fun. It's fun to make a noise. It's fun to make different sounds, and that's just me. So let's start the show. Welcome everybody. Welcome to the show. Firstly, I want to say thank you to all the support that you've given me. It's really been overwhelming. I can't believe that we are here with episode 5. I think it's episode 5. It might be episode 4. I don't know. Anyways, it doesn't matter. But welcome to the episode. Thank you for your support. Please do continue to share. And if you haven't subscribed already, please smash that subscribe button. And just come on this journey with me. Join me into the future as we go. Because this is early days, This is early days. I think I've always been about improvement, Not always. Let's say since I was about, 19, 20, since I was between those ages, I've been really, really focused on self-improvement. And you translate that into improving everything else around you and everything you do. I just believe that if you do something one way, then the next time you do it, you have to do it in a better way, I guess. So I'm always trying to find ways to improve it. And just to give you an update, soon we're gonna have different sets of equipment here, and that's gonna be quite exciting. The first upgrade of this show, and hopefully one day I'd like to move into a studio, or be able to create a little studio and use that as the venue for the podcast, because I want to have I would love to accommodate guests at some point, and it would be really cool to have guests to talk to people. That's something that I personally enjoy very much, and it's also one of the reasons why I listen to podcasts myself. It's just because I enjoy conversation. Conversation is an art form, I believe. Sometimes you speak to someone and then you walk away from that conversation like, oh, that was a lame conversation. Or you walk away from a conversation, you're like, wow, that was awesome. Because you guys exchanged something, and who knows what that thing might be. It's not necessarily just an exchange of ideas. Maybe it's an exchange of energy. Like, here's my energy and here's your energy. And, we're mixing our energies, and that just sort of brings us to a new state of energy, I think, and a new level of energy, a new type of energy. And I think that's just what human interaction is, basically. Like, you cannot be a person, a unique person on your own. All that you are is, obviously you're more than this, but part of what you are is the experiences you've had, the people you've come into contact with, whether those were good contacts or bad contacts. You are this person because of all that, because of the things that have happened to you in life, and it all just translates into energy, I think. And don't let the vessel fool you. Don't let the vessel fool you. We are beings made of energy. That's what a soul is. That's what our spirit is. It's energy. And that is the body is merely the vehicle for the soul and the spirit to operate in this physical world, you know. And what we truly are is beings of light, or beings of energy. And when we come into contact with each other, we're exchanging energy. And when you exchange bad energy, that's when you walk away from a conversation and you're like, that was boring, or that was awful, or, you know, because there's just some people who drain you, you know. And I don't know why, but it's always like old people, like, and I'm talking about people that are like 60, 70, 80 years old. You know, when they share like a story, and the story kind of has no point, and then you just leave that conversation feeling drained. You're like, wow, this person just took all my energy out of me, you know. Like what is it, a soul vampire? You're a vampire for the soul. People that do that, and I think we're all going to get to that point at some point where we're going to get that old, and we're just going to tell the young ones, you know, in my day, you know, we used to send messages to each other on WhatsApp. You know, there's just no point to the story, and then they're like, whatever, we here with our VR headsets, or actually we have VR in our brains, and we just communicate that way. Old man, you old fat, you know, just like that. You say, you kids don't know anything, you know. And that's just how conversations between young people and old people happen. But where was I? I was busy thanking you. Thank you, everybody, for subscribing. Thank you for watching. It's incredible, the support that I've received. So let's keep it up. Let's move forward together. But we move on. And what's going on with me is, I guess, you know, this past weekend has been slightly an interesting one, slightly a boring one, which makes it interesting. You know, you can't just have interest all the time. Goodness, there has to be something mundane, something ordinary that must happen, you know, and that's just what makes life normal, I guess, you know. But yeah, like Saturday I gave some organ lessons to some kids, and it's fascinating to see how quickly they learn something, how quickly they pick up on a skill, you know. You know, I think that it's based on interest. I don't think you're gonna learn something easily that you're not interested in. And you know, it's incredible that just as a kid has interest in something, they're gonna soak up every bit of information about it, and that is what learning is. You know, so these kids that are learning to play the organ, they wanted to, they had the desire, they were not forced to play the organ or to learn the organ. They were not forced by their parents. They were not forced by any sort of external factors. There's something internal that compels them to be interested in this thing. And I don't think we've quite figured out what interest is. And that's an interesting thing for me to consider, because what is it? Why do we have different interests? Why do we have the same upbringing? How can we be the same age, in the same circumstances? You know, we could run an experiment like that, but for some reason we end up having different interests. So that's fascinating to me. Like, why is that? What causes that to be? You know, how can I be obsessed about music and you couldn't care less about it, you know? Like, it's puzzling. I know that we're different, but why is it that we are different? Why does music not compel you as much as it compels me? Why does language compel you more than it compels me? Why does skateboarding interest you more than it does me? It's so interesting. But whatever you're into, just, do maximum effort. Be like Deadpool. And that's one of my, I really like that catchphrase, maximum effort. Because it just, you wanna get to the end of your day and just feel like, I'm tired, I'm depleted. You want to get to that point at the end of your day. The last thing you want at the end of your day is energy, and it just means you haven't used up enough of it, by the time you get there. So yeah, man, just use it, maximum effort. But anyways, yeah. So after that, then what happened? I came home. Luckily, there was no load shedding, and that. Load shedding is another inconvenience of life. But luckily, on Saturday, there was no load shedding. I came home and I was just chilling a little bit, waiting for the sports to come on, just to watch a little bit of racing. The Formula One season has finally opened. Since Thursday, they did practice on Thursday. And then there was qualifiers on Friday. Qualifiers is cool because what happens is everybody gets a chance to get like a nice... what do they call that? They do a lap around the track, and whoever gets the fastest lap, they put it in order from fastest to slowest, and that's the grid positions that you start on for the race on the next day. A flying lap, that's what it's called. So you get to get to drive around the track, constantly until you've achieved what you believe is the fastest lap, or until the timer runs out. And there's 20 drivers in the first qualifier, and then they kick off, I think, 5 of them. Then the next 15, or the 15 that are left, get to do the next qualifier, Q2, and then the slowest 5 are knocked out again, and then the last 10 get to basically get to do their qualifiers to see who's going to be the first 10. So, and then they just rank it all from 1 to 20, and then whoever is first is first. And it was a bit, it was cool to see the qualifiers, and then you can see like how fast these cars drive. And Red Bull Racing is the number one team. They are I think for now they have retained the title. 3 years in a row they've been the champions, the world champions. So it's kind of like they're dominating. They really are. And it's making it boring. Who would have thought seeing someone win is boring? But it was ridiculous. Like on Saturday, I watched the race, and it was insane. Like this guy is a really good racing driver. Red Bull Racing has created a brilliant car, but he's like 22 seconds at the end of the race. He was 22 seconds ahead of his teammate. He's number 1, his teammate is number 2. He was 22 seconds ahead. So like there's no drama, there's no race for first. You just get excited to see who's gonna come third. And it's still exciting, but it's not as exciting as it could be. Where you get into a race and it's like, or a race weekend, and you're like, I don't know who's gonna win here, That's the mystery. That's why we like things that we don't know. That's curiosity, and that's what creates excitement. So yeah, it was boring. It was boring. I don't like being negative about things, but I was not entertained. The sport itself is cool. Cars are super interesting. Engineering and how people put cars together and how fast they go. Race car drivers are a fascinating breed of human, but it's just if it's not competitive, if one car is like outclassing all the others by a huge margin, then it's boring, So yeah, that was Saturday. And while I was watching the races, I was also braaiing. And if you're not familiar with braaiing, if you're from another country or something, braaiing is the activity that we do in South Africa, where we basically put meat on some hot coals, and it's like a grill or a barbecue, but it's not the same as it's got a different thing to it, about braaiing. But anyways, so I was braaiing like some pork, which is fine, and then for some reason the coals died. Like half the coals on the braai stand died and the other half didn't, and that was really annoying. I was like, okay, I have to now continue this. So the meat wasn't really getting cooked. So then I did that, and then I put the meat back on to make it cooked, and then that took a while. And then, okay, I took that off. The next thing is lamb chops. Now, I don't know if there's a method that I need to do in order to do it correctly, but frying lamb chops is insanely difficult. Like, how do you prevent fire? You know, you got a chemical fire going on top of these hot coals, and it's burning the meat. But the meat is what's causing the fire, because all the fat and the juices that come from the mutton or from the lamb chops is what's causing the fire. And it's like, okay, take it all off, and then kill the fire. Like let some of the fire die. Sprinkle some water on, and it's chaotic, and you obviously don't want the meat to burn. And then you take it off, you sort it out, you put it back on, and there's more fire. And oh man, at the end of the day, I burnt the meat. Okay, I burnt it because how maybe I need some more skills. And I even burnt my finger. Like I had some hot juices fall on my finger, and that's quite annoying. There's nothing more. There's nothing quite like a burn. When you get burned, it's a different kind of pain. A cut is one kind of pain, and a knock is a different kind of pain. But a burn, that's next level, man. Where like some hot oil or fat just on your finger, and then it's just the pain it's like it doesn't go away. When you knock your leg on something, it's a dull pain. It's a sharp pain at first, then it's a dull pain, and then it sort of dissipates. But when you burn yourself, man, the pain that you initially had is still gonna be with you. It takes very long for that pain to go away. So yeah, that was my Saturday. Quite exciting to get burned by meat that I was burning. I guess if I burn the meat, the meat burns me. That's just the reciprocity of life, and that's life. And then yesterday, okay, we went to church. I work at a church, so I went there, played the organ a little bit. It was a nice service as well. A lot of focus on the 10 Commandments, so that was interesting. The 10 Commandments. The way with the picture that was painted was that we have a relationship with God. We also have a relationship with people around us. Our loved ones, our friends, family. We even have a relationship with strangers that we call our neighbor. And these rules, these commandments are just the rules for your relationship, not just with God, but with everybody else. And that was quite interesting to me. That it's a nice way to look at it, is that if you want this relationship to succeed, here are the rules that you have to follow. And there are written rules, there are unwritten rules in any relationship, and these ones are written rules. And if you want to have a good life, you follow these rules. If you want to have a good spiritual life, and that's really the focus, right? There is a natural life, but the spiritual life is really more of the focus, because we are spiritual beings. This is just a vessel, as I said before, this is just a vessel that we have on earth, and don't be deceived by it. Your soul and your spirit are what occupies this vessel. And so you are not your body. You have a body, but the body is not you. It's just the shell. It's just the vessel that your soul inhabits to live here on earth. So everything we should focus on is really more spiritual. And I get that there are natural needs. You have to maintain this body, this vehicle, throughout life, but what we call life. But there's more life after this, and there's more to life than just nourishment and satisfying whatever needs and desires that you physically have on this earth. And these commandments is what allows us to be able to have that relationship with the world, a more spiritual relationship. I think people that take stuff in the Bible literally, you're missing the point, kind of. Like, what is it? What is it? What is the spiritual lesson here? Sometimes there's natural lessons, of course, but if you interpret everything completely as naturally, the way that atheists tend to do, you're missing the point, man. You're like, the earth was not created that way. Like, okay, fine. But what does the story tell us? What does it mean? What does it mean to you? What does it mean when God says, and he saw that it was good? It means that it was perfect, it was alright, he was happy with it. That's what it means to be good. And that creative spirit is good. So us being made in his image, we are the essence of that creative spirit. And what we do is we procreate. We bring life into this world as well, because we're human beings, we propagate the species. But we also create. I think it's really crazy, like when people say, like, I wish I could be in the old days. I want to go back to the old days. I want to be a Viking, or I want to be a knight, or I want to be, who knows? What else do you want to be? I want to work in a stable. I want to make horseshoes, or I want to be a what do they call that? A smith, right? Someone who, bangs metal, bang, 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 and creates, weapons and stuff. A blacksmith, that's what they call it, a blacksmith. I want to be a blacksmith, or I want to be a king, But do you really want to really go back to those times? Like, let's just think about this a little bit. What about modern medicine? If you got sick back then, your life was over, There were very few illnesses that you could just recover from. I mean, in the early 1900s, the Spanish flu wiped out a huge population, or a huge percentage of the population. What about before that, the bubonic plague in the 1500s, And the only reason these diseases, especially the plague, the plague spread so rapidly and wiped out so many people. I read the plague wiped out 25% of the world's population, and this is mainly in Europe. It's like the reason why that happened is simply because people hadn't considered washing their hands. You use the toilet, there are germs on your hands, dude. There are germs on your hands. And nobody had thought, maybe I should wash my hands. So many people that perished in childbirth. So many women had perished in childbirth. After childbirth, actually, they get an infection after giving birth. A few days later, a few weeks later, and then they die from that infection. And they were always puzzled, like, why does this happen? And it just turns out that the doctors didn't bother washing their hands before or after. They would be like doing an autopsy on a corpse, and then like at 10 o'clock, and they say, oh, it's 12, I need to go deliver a baby. And then boom, you go deliver a baby. You didn't wash your hands because that wasn't an idea, that wasn't a convention in society just yet. Sorry, the wind just opened the door. Or the window, rather. Door, imagine, that's not a door. Maybe a door for me because I'm so small. But anyways, so then this guy comes along and he's like, guys, maybe we should just wash our hands. I don't know if he was a doctor or anything. I should look that up. But he was just like, maybe we should just wash our hands with water before we, deliver a baby, or after we, open up a corpse. And they were like, nah, you crazy, man. They just dismissed the guy. And then eventually someone was like, maybe I should wash my hands. And then turns out that made all the difference. Now the survival rate for mothers skyrocketed. Now mothers could actually live and look after their babies, Now there's not so many orphans in the world, or so many fathers who find themselves in a position to have to look after a baby. Like, that's why they, just give that child up for adoption, because back then the world was not a place where gender roles were as fluid as they are now in today's society. So do you really want to go back there? You know, do you really want to live in a world where nobody washed their hands? What about brushing your teeth? What about brushing your teeth, man? What about toothpaste? What about perfume? What about just normal hygiene? What about, deodorant? You're gonna live in a real nasty world, a real nasty place where everybody's got germs on them, dude. Everybody's nasty, everybody's dirty. I remember once I went to, and this doesn't happen just once, it happens quite regularly. You are in a mall and you wash your hands after using the toilet, when nature calls. That's what they say, it's a euphemism. Then you wash your hands, and then one of the stores opens and it's someone wearing a uniform of a restaurant, and it's clear this person works in the kitchen. He or she is a chef. And you're washing your hands after using the toilet, and this person just looks you in the eye and walks out, not even washing their hands. And I'm just like, okay, I'm never gonna eat there ever in my life. Shout out John Doris. And anyway, so that was wild. The fact that, how can you not wash your hands, dude? But imagine that's everybody. That's the world you want to live in. And you say, let's go back in time, I think in today's society where as many problems as they are, I think this is maybe the best time to be alive. Because there's this game that I used to play called Minecraft. Now Minecraft is a very fun game. You get to build blocks, you get to build stuff with blocks, and you get to mine for diamonds and for stone, and you use all the materials that you mine to craft other things that you need, hence the name Minecraft. You mine stuff to craft with, and you craft stuff to mine with. And it's not a very sophisticated idea, but it's still a fun game. And in this game you have different modes. You get like spectator mode, where you just get to fly around and see everything. You get creative mode, where you have access to all these different blocks, like literally every resource that has ever been crafted on this game. You have access to that, and you use it to be creative. And then you get survival mode, where you are in danger. A monster might kill you, or an animal might attack you, or you might fall off a cliff and die. You might drown, and die. And that's survival mode. So we've come from a place in the past where we were in survival mode. But now we're able to have a level of survival where we don't even, it's not a concern. It's not a focus to just survive. We get to be creative now. We get to innovate. We get to develop new things. And that's the world we're living in. So why would you want to go back? You're going to go back into survival mode, dude? You want to take a walk and have to be chased by a lion? Is that what? Imagine if that happened. Imagine if that happened nowadays. You're just, you coming from work and, you have no energy. You're like, I'm so, and then I have to get home, I have to make food, I have to feed my family, man, I have to, I still have things to do, I have some work that I have to do once I get home, and here's now a lion chasing you that you also have to now deal with. Imagine that was the case. That would be pretty rough. And that was what life was like. You really want to go back in time? Get out of here, man. Get out of here, But anyways, what else is going on? I was at work. I was at work. It's a school chapel, and they were saying goodbye to saying farewell to a esteemed member of the board, a teacher, someone who's been at the school for like 40 years. Which is incredible. Wow, to be so loyal to one organization and be in one place and be so focused on the development of others, and there were speeches and stuff and all that, and then he got up and he made a speech, and he said something that is still sitting with me, so I figured I'll share it with you because it's quite a profound thought for me. He said that his attitude has always been, what can I do for the school, not what the school can do for me. And that's advice that he's given to everyone he's ever mentored, everyone he's ever, taught or coached. He was also a coach. And wow, man, like that attitude, blows my mind. In a world where almost everybody is so focused on what's in it for me. What can I get out of this? What do I gain? What are you going to give me? Or what's the reward for me? Like doing the complete opposite of what can I do? Here's what I can give. Here's what I can contribute. This is the small contribution that I can do. This is how I can serve. I think if there were just more people like that, if there were just more people who felt, let me just focus on what I can do for others, not what others can do for me, maybe we would be in a better world. Maybe we'd be in a world where there isn't so many unemployed people. Maybe we'd be in a world where our country is not falling apart. Maybe we'd be in a world where we don't have to, there's so many, like maybe 80% of the suffering that goes on could be avoided simply because we're no longer self-serving, but rather serving, just serving. Remove the self. What can I do for you? And that's an attitude that since then I've been wanting to, or I've been trying to adopt, throughout life you experience things, you hear things, you encounter people, and you want to take the positives from them and instill it in yourself. And that's growth. And that's what I just want to do, Maybe I'm obsessed with growth because I'm so short, I'm not a tall man, let's just put it that way. I'm not a tall man. What do they call them? Is it called short kings? Yeah, I'm one of the short kings. That's me. I'm a short king. So, maybe that's why I'm so obsessed with growth. Because, that's the only other way I can grow. The physical growing is done. It's been done for a long time. I think the height that I'm at now is probably, I've really worked hard to maintain this height since I was maybe 13. This is just how tall I've been, how short I've been. But I'll tell you this, I don't feel short. I never feel short. Even if I'm next to a tall person, even if I'm next to a freakishly tall person, why are you so big, man? Even that, I don't feel short, my own experience is that I don't feel inferior. I don't feel superior either, but I don't have that comparison. I try not to compare because this is just what I got. This is my vessel, and I'm not focused on the vessel. I'm focused on what's inside, my soul, my spirit, So that's why I try to adopt attitudes and perspectives from others that I like. And that's one that I like. What can I do? Not what can you do for me? What can I do for you? How can I serve? And I think that's kind of what, the biggest role model of all, Jesus Christ. What he instilled was that I am a servant. I've come here to serve. And you need to be the same as me. You need to serve. And I think that's beautiful. And I think that's really, there's a lot of talk about, this is my love language. This is my love language. I know my, But I think the true love language is serving. To be able to give, to be able to do for others something good. I think that's true love language right there. That's how you communicate love. It's by serving. It's by doing not for you, but for others. But obviously, don't neglect yourself. You cannot be the person who's doing good for others if you're not taking care of yourself at least. It's like a sick doctor. How effective are you if you're a sick doctor? How effective are you if you're an insane psychologist or psychiatrist? You know, how effective are you if you're an uneducated teacher? It doesn't work. You have to start here. But the focus is being good for others, serving others. So that was quite profound for me, I think. And I think that's, I want to keep that going, you know. And yeah, that's what I want to do with that, you know. And I think, you know, we live in a world where there are so many tools at our disposal now. Yeah. And I think that's why maybe we struggle to have that perspective of what can I do? How can I serve? Because there's so much at our disposal that's there to serve us. There's so much entertainment. There's so much like the drive for you know, working and for income is like, what can I get out of it? You know, that's the focus, and that's just the way society unfortunately has been structured. And that's why it's so amazing when we see somebody who's so selfless, someone who's able to really do for others, you know, do good for others. That's why it's so amazing to us when actually it should be the norm. We shouldn't even notice when someone is doing good for others. You know, you see those videos that get posted, this person gave all his money to this organizer, you know, it's like, fine, that's an incredible person, you know. But that's something that gets the attention. Why isn't it so common? Why isn't giving so common that we don't even notice it? We don't feel it's even worthwhile to post a video about it on social media. It should be the case that most of us are the ones who are serving and giving. But it's not. And maybe we can all work together to restructure society in that way where we can serve each other. How can I serve you? Not what can you do for me? Because remember, if we're all serving each other, then you don't need to worry about you because you're taken care of while you're taking care of others. And that's reciprocity. And I think that's balance. I think the reason why we're sitting in the mess we're sitting in life, in society, is because there is no balance. Everybody's just looking out for number one instead of let's all be number one. Let's all go up together. So, and yeah, anyways, I was speaking about tools and then I just reverted back. But anyways, so I'm getting real wary and you might say paranoid, I think, about AI. Not paranoid yet, I think, but I definitely have my eye on the development of artificial intelligence because, like, it's almost like I can see where this is going, you know? You see so many videos nowadays where people have like headphones and the VR headset on and they're walking through the streets, man. They're walking in public. You know, they are not aware of their surroundings. You know, you could be struck by a car or you could be robbed and not be aware of what's happening with you. And it's not one person. That's the insane thing. So it means that technology is able to captivate your attention much more than your own survival, your own longevity, because you're not concerned about your safety anymore. You're just stuck in the virtual world. And you know, we have like these algorithms on TikTok and on Instagram and on Facebook. They calculate, these algorithms are able to calculate how many milliseconds you spend on one post, you know, and the posts that you spend more time staring at, like whatever, how fast you scroll, how slow you scroll, that feeds it back into the algorithm and gives you more of the type of content that you seem to slow down on or even stopped on. So it gives you more of that. So now it's just a longer feedback. So what happens when they use artificial intelligence to reduce that feedback time? When it's able to give you what you want and need in real time, where it already knows your preferences. Because now there's also technology where people are able to implant chips in your head, you know, and one day you'll be able to scroll through social media in your head. You know, you'll be able to respond to text messages just by, it's plugged into your visual cortex, and you're able to just, oh, there's an email, let me respond to an email while I watch, while I watch The Real Housewives or something. And then while you're doing that, you're also like, planning your day or reading a book, or, it's insane. It's insane what's going to happen. But now what's even worse is the algorithm feeds us, right? So what's going to happen when you have your VR on and your headsets, and your senses are gone. Your senses have been distracted into the virtual world, and now you're constantly fed in real time whatever it is you desire, whatever it is you prefer. Now you're just stuck there. Maybe it's even going to know how long it takes you before you scroll to the next thing. And now this is where I'm going with this, because I was shown what OpenAI has currently been working on and what they're gonna release soon. And it's an AI software that helps. You can just put it in, like you put your input in, and then boom, a video, whatever video you want, like a dog running through the field, a close-up of a dog running through a field, and then boom, the dog is running through the field, and it looks like film footage, dude. It looks like film footage, So what happens when that gets stepped into your VR? Now we're replacing TikTok and Instagram and all this reels and shorts and TikTok videos with whatever prompt it can read from your mind and just give you that the whole time, just feed you that constantly. That's how they're gonna plug us into the matrix, dude. So I'm very wary of the development of this type of technology, because what is gonna stop you? Like, it's gonna be so much better than real life that you might not come back to real life. And maybe it's gonna get to that point where you're distracted for so long that boom, they put you in a bubble, like in the actual Matrix movie, and you're just stuck there now, and now they're feeding off your brain energy because you're stuck in the virtual world. Man, that's terrifying. Like, I actually feel like a pit in my stomach. It could be hunger, but maybe not. Maybe I'm being paranoid. I don't know. Maybe I'm just being paranoid. But I'm keeping an eye on AI. I'm keeping an eye on the development of technology, because it's not going to take long. I mean, I'm an idiot, and I came up with this idea. What's going to happen when someone smarter than me decides what else they can do? Who knows where it can go. So be careful out there, folks, if you have VR and all that stuff. But anyway, so we got another hotline entry, and that was cool. And once again, just to remind everybody, the hotline is 072-012-1804. And that's if you want to ask any questions, if you want to comment on anything I've said in the show, if you'd like to correct me on something I might have, an error I might have made, or if you want to add on to what I'm saying, or have your own random question and want to know what I think and what I might have to say about it, you go ahead and you send that message. Nothing is off limits. Honestly, I am an open-minded individual. So yeah, just send it in. That hotline again is 072-012-1804. Send a video, send a message, type a message, send a voice note. It doesn't matter. We can put it in on the show, and you can just be a part of the show. So this person wanted to be anonymous, I guess. And it says here, yo, Xavier. And Xavier is probably referring to me. My name is Xavier, so it just took the X and the A and the V out and just save. Anyways, so here it goes. My question to you is, how do you think the pyramids of Egypt came about? Whew, that's a big one. Do you believe in a specific theory, or do you have your own? Well, now we're getting into some real diverse, territory here. because I have a lot of theories. Now, there's a lot of theories out there, and no one theory is fully plausible, but parts are. Parts make sense. And for me, being trying to be a skeptic, I'm always willing to consider different ideas and willing to consider that some ideas are, utter nonsense. But on the pyramids, man, the pyramids of Egypt, it's quite interesting. One thing I do want to say before I dive into the theories of it is, I think a lot of the theories, and maybe this is just, for me to be a bit of a conspiracy thinker, I think the fact that there are so many outlandish theories almost is just because I think it comes from the European way of thinking. They won't give Africans the credit for having that level of sophisticated engineering, because the pyramids there's so much about the pyramids that are absolutely mind-blowing. The fact that they're still there, the fact that there are tunnels and passageways in these pyramids that are literally perfectly 90-degree angles, dude. This is before Pythagoras even came up with whatever he came up with. Thousands of years before Pythagoras. How is that possible? But it's like Europe, whatever propaganda has been given through Europe is like, there's no way Africans could have come up with that. That's why there's these theories. It's like, no, don't do that. You don't know how advanced society was before society is now. You don't know if there was another society before that might be advanced in a way that we don't understand. Just because we think we have an advanced, how can I say it? Just because we have an advanced society here does not mean that there wasn't an advanced society before. As I said before, there's like in Göbekli Tepe, there's certain structures there, certain statues and depictions of humans interacting with dinosaurs, man. So what if dinosaurs are not as old as we think they are? What if human beings are not as young as we think they are? There's definitely more to the story. The amount of prehistoric data that is found is less than 1% of what there was. They'll tell you, if I leave a laptop or a phone laying there for hundreds of thousands of years, it's not going to be there anymore. I'm not going to find it. If I leave it laying there for 10,000 years, I'm not going to find it. All these materials are to a certain extent degradable. So eventually there's not going to be any evidence of it. So when it comes to like the pyramids, to bring it back now, who knows? But there are some wild theories. Like the one theory is, this is a bit of a wild one. The one theory is that aliens were in charge over human beings for a certain period in history. And aliens gave human beings access to machinery and equipment that was capable of quickly building these huge structures that still stand today. Quickly cutting out 10-ton blocks of limestone and transporting it 1,000 kilometers to a different place and being able to stack it up in this insane design. It makes sense in a science fiction world, dude. It definitely makes sense if you're looking at things that way. If you're like, if there were aliens, but it's like, that's not evidence that aliens were around helping out. There are definitely some, carvings and statues that depict what looks like alien beings helping out human beings in ancient Egypt. But, dude, that could just be art, Remember that art is a creative endeavor. So sometimes it's not going to be like, hey, this happened. It's just going to be that this is an artist expressing his or her creativity. So, you can't really take that as evidence. Let's just consider that. Another theory, and I like this theory because it's extremely plausible. They've actually found some evidence of canals around the areas of where all the pyramids are. And what they've done is what is believed to have been done is that the Egyptians, ancient Egyptians, managed to use the Nile River and carve channels into the earth, into the landscape, to let the Nile River flow into these canals, and to transport people and to transport the blocks that were made to build these huge structures, the building materials. So that just takes a genius level of ingenuity, So for me, that's like, okay, that's one part of the puzzle, but then again, how did you even get to move this many blocks and be able to complete this structure in this time? Let's even consider the position of the pyramids. Like, the position of the pyramids is according to Orion's belt, in the sky, in the night sky, and it's a reflection of the position of those three stars of Orion's belt. And it's not just those pyramids. There's pyramids in China. There's pyramids in Indonesia. There's pyramids in Mexico, in South America, where the pyramids are set up in the same way. So I think, and this is based on a theory that I saw, like, here's my theory. I think, and I like this theory, that before recorded history, before what we think is prehistory, must have been something else. Must have been human beings that have managed to have technology in a different way, discover technology in a different way than what we've discovered technology. We've had the Industrial Revolution, and it's now the second, third, fourth. I think we're in the fourth or the fifth Industrial Revolution. The digital age, where we have computers that are so sophisticated. They might have been in a society way before us that had access to a different type of technology. Like maybe frequency. What if it's a technology based on frequency and sound? We know how powerful frequencies can be. What if they've discovered how to harness certain frequencies to be able to move huge stone blocks? What if they've discovered to use these frequencies to gain certain information, like the positioning of the stars, to formulate certain types of mathematics that we won't ever understand or know about? What if that's the case? Because otherwise it's like, dude, how did that get there? How did they do that? So I think what happened was there was either a catastrophic event like a flood, like what they say in the Bible, and so many of there's a flood in almost every religion story. There's a flood. There's a great flood that washes away everything. So we can't discount that. So what if there was just a flood that just destroyed it, and that's why it looks like the way that it does now? And one society that, if you think about the ancient Egyptians, it wasn't one society that beginning to end was these people. The ancient Egyptians have been changed over thousands of years, maybe even hundreds of thousands of years, who knows? It wasn't always that the current Egyptians are the people that were there 10,000 years ago or 20,000 years ago. It wasn't the same people. So, yeah, let me not go too deep into that, but to answer your question, I think that's my theory. I think that there was technology that we don't understand, that there's no evidence of anymore because of time, that was able to be used, maybe the harnessing of frequency and sound to perform all of the activities needed to create these pyramids, and also, realistically speaking, using canals from the Nile River or feeding the water from the Nile River into these canals and to transport all these things. You can check that out. That's actually a real thing. So thank you, Anonymous, for your hotline entry. I appreciate it, and it was a very stimulating thought, and I think I'm still going to think about this for a long time. But speaking of pyramids, I don't understand, why have we lost this architectural taste? Why at some point did we just make basic buildings? Why did we just make buildings that, oh, this is the purpose of the building? We don't need to worry about beauty. We don't need to worry about artistic expression. We don't need to worry about any of that. This is just a function of this building, and that's that. We designed it according to its function. That's silly, man. That's silly. One place I'd really love to visit is Italy. And there they have like spectacular buildings. Oh my word. Where maybe it's just a lobby of a hotel. And you go there and the floor is marble. It's beautiful. And there are statues that have been sculpted by, maybe Michelangelo. And the staircase, it's a staircase. It's just designed to take you from one floor to the next. But the staircase is so ornately, done up that, the carvings of the balusters and the handrails, like, why don't we have this anymore, man? Why do we look on the outside of a building and it isn't like that? Each window has been, designed or just given its own little decoration as part of the building structure. Like a nice arch over it, or like, just putting some statues on the outside of the building. That's how they did it in the old days. Why can't we bring that back? So I'm calling for a revival. Let's revive the art that architecture was a part of. Now it's just functional design. But I hope it's coming back, because now the materials that we have allow us to build faster and to build cheaper. So why don't we make a beautiful, like imagine now a skyscraper. You just put all glass and steel and concrete. Boom, it's just there. That's how we live now. Why don't you make that into why don't you give it a different shape? Or why don't you, especially at universities, there are some buildings on university campuses that do the opposite of inspiration. Why don't you design a building to inspire people, to design something that can say, wow, there is more to life than academic achievement. There's beauty, and beauty is a worthwhile pursuit. Why not inspire that in people? Maybe we'll have a happier society. I'm pretty sure that even though there wasn't anyone washing their hands or brushing their teeth, I'm sure that people were happy, man. That buildings were looking so beautiful. That art was taken seriously as a part of society. Where the artist and the doctor and the teacher, they were on equal footing in society. They were revered the same way because of the value that they bring. Now, we look down on artists, like, oh, you're an artist, lame, like, oh no, you're a lawyer, that's amazing, or you're a doctor, oh, that's wonderful. But if you're an artist, if you're a musician, then it's just like, oh, so you're poor, No, well, why do we do that? Why do we do that? Why don't we value beauty and art as much as we value, survival and health and wealth? Why? I don't understand. When did we lose that? When did we lose the inspiration that beauty offers? And why don't we put that in everything? Why don't we decorate everything? Why don't you go to a park and you see this beautifully cut hedge? It's like in the shape of an elephant or something. Why isn't there fountains anymore, man? Make this beautiful fountain, like, oh man. You might say, oh, well, it is so expensive. Like, yeah, but it's worth it. Because you're inspiring people, and you might be inspiring people into posterity, man. Like, go to those places and see how inspired you feel. Go to Istanbul, go to Rome, go to Florence, go to Paris, go to the older parts of London, go to some church in Germany, man. Why don't you go there? Go to the Vatican City. Go see there. Go to Spain. Go see Barcelona. That is a beautiful city. Especially some of the older parts of Barcelona. Wow, man. Go to Westminster Abbey. Go to Notre Dame. Go to the Leipzig Cathedral. Why don't you go there and then see how inspired you feel? Nobody's saying, hey, go check out this building there on the corner of St. Andrews and President Brand. Go see there, that building there. It's lame. It's lame. It's just concrete. There's no beauty. There's no inspiration. So I think we should bring that back, man. Bring beauty back into the built environment. Let's do that. Oh, let's do that. Anyways, we move on a little bit. What else? What else was I saying? I was still talking about being short. Oh yeah. So what I like to do also, sometimes I like to pretend I'm tall, because being tall has its advantages. But so I pretend to be tall, and then I just sort of, bend down whenever I enter a room. Just I'm hungry. Just be bigger than I am, because I don't think like I said, I'm not gonna grow. Like, my growth has ended. My physical growth. So that's why I'm so focused on, mental and spiritual growth. I think we can all benefit from that. All of our growth stops at some point, and that's just physical growth. It shouldn't stop there. It should not stop there. But anyways, I wanted to show you guys, or I wanted to talk about some good news. I actually searched it, and there are legit websites that are dedicated to delivering good news. Isn't that crazy? That's insane. So I just put it in. I haven't really checked it out, but I want to see what do they offer here. What kind of good news is? Look at this. Yes, I'm just gonna read the headlines, because I'm not gonna read full stories and all that. You can go and do that. The website I'm on here says goodnewsnetwork.org, and that's they're giving us, this one story says that this guy lost 210 pounds. How much is 210 pounds in kilograms? Let's see. He lost 210 pounds, and in kilograms, that's 95 kilograms. Okay, this guy lost 95 kilograms. That's insane. On a carnivore diet, eating just meat and eggs after fertility became an issue. Wow. So obviously he had an unhealthy lifestyle, eating whatever he liked. And I would love to go on a carnivore diet, actually, come to think of it. It's always been interesting, because there's so many different results that people report, But anyways, so that's great news. You're not going to find that on the news channels these days. They just want to tell you that the world is on fire. But I want to see, is there not something about the world and the environment, or first known photos of a lost bird not seen in 2 decades are captured by University of Texas scientists. Awesome! So there's a lot of things that we say, oh no, the creatures are going extinct because of deforestation and all that. Come on, man. It's not that bad. Yes, it's bad, but it's not as bad as what you say it is. It's not on here, but I saw one that was talking about in Japan, they've employed disabled people and have them operate robots. So they get to sit at home and they get to operate robots in a restaurant to take your order and to bring your food to you. That is a solution, man. That is amazing. That's good news for me, because it's it means that we're not just accepting when somebody cannot do certain things anymore, that they are now no longer of any use to society. That doesn't make sense. That does not make sense. You should always try and find solutions. And look what the Japanese have done. They've employed people who would otherwise not be able to be a waiter to sit at home, operate a robot, and to be able to work, to be able to serve people in a restaurant. Man, that's amazing. I understand technology, I'm still watching. I still have my eye on technology and how dangerous it can be. But the fact that those types of things are happening is amazing. I read this thing also where they said that 50% is, or rather, the rate of deforestation in the Amazon jungle has decreased by 50%. I don't know what time frame they gave, but that's amazing. That's good news. I also saw that the Sahara Desert is shrinking. The desert is shrinking. One of the biggest deserts in the world. I don't know if it's the biggest desert in the world. But anyways, the desert is shrinking. There's grassland that's overtaking the desert now. So that's good news, right? I saw this other one that said that there are more trees now in North America and China. These are places that have a lot of trees. In North America and in China than there were 100 years ago. So, dude, there are times, there are things that are happening that means that as the world, we're getting better. Things are getting better. So it's not all doom and gloom. And please remember that I like this. I like going into, these news stories, and I think that, what news does, we have to understand the business model here for these news outlets. They get their income from advertisers, and the ads happen when the news is not on. So the news story, then they go to a commercial break, and because so many people are watching the news, they get paid for how many people are watching the news, accordingly. So the more people that get to watch the news, the more money the news outlets make from advertisers. Now, here's the catch though. The news is now motivated to find ways to bring more eyeballs to the news. And what they've discovered is that human beings have a negativity bias. It's built into us. It's built into us from the time when we were still in survival mode. Just to come full circle with that one. Back when we were in survival mode, we had to look out for the negatives. You have to look out for the dangers. Is there a snake that can kill my baby? Is there a fire that can wipe out my village? Is there a predator out there that we need to be careful of? That's our negativity bias. And now, because society becomes a much different place now for us, we don't have those concerns anymore. But that wiring is still built into us. We are wired to be focused on the negatives. And that's why they feed us with so much bad news, man. That's why they feed us with so much bad news. And we are the suckers because we allow it. We don't see what they're actually doing. They're just giving us more bad news so that there's more eyeballs on the news, so that the advertisers can pay the news outlets more money. It's all about money, man. It's all about money. Wake up. Just wake up, everybody. It's bad out there, okay? And the thing is, what that does is, life is already difficult. Life is already rough, and now the news feeds that more, reinforces the idea that it's bad out here. And it isn't. It's not bad out here. The world isn't on fire. Maybe for some people in some places, but not for you and I. We're okay. You're watching a video on YouTube. That means that you are probably in the top 10% of the world. So let's just be grateful for the privileges that we do have, and not be too concerned with everything that we don't have. And let's not be focused too much on the fact that the world is ending, because it actually isn't. Things seem to be getting better. And the news will never tell you that, because it's not good for ratings, it's not good for numbers, it's not good for their bottom line to give you the good news. So spread good news out there. Tell people what I just told you, And I think that, hell is a real place, and it's really more mental than anything else. We add society, we add circumstances, but our mind, what's going on in our mind in those circumstances, that makes all the difference in the world, That's why the idea of hell is so, major, not to take it out of the religious perspective, because that is there, but in life, hell can be real for some, where things are so bad, and not just that, but your mind is now hooked on that badness as well. It's stuck in it. And you're going to feel like, no, I'm in hell now. I am in hell. But guess what? If there's hell, it means that there's heaven too, right? So you can get to that point in life where things are so good and so wonderful and so amazing. You can literally feel like, oh, this must be what heaven is like. And I think it just comes down to choices. If you choose lies, if you choose deceit, if you choose to be dishonest, if you choose to lie to yourself and to others, if you choose the path that takes advantage of people, that causes harm, that serves only you, you're going to get closer and closer to hell. And maybe not hell for you, but you're definitely creating hell for others. Now let's look at if you do the opposite of that. What happens if you choose to be honest, even if it hurts you, to be honest with yourself, to be honest with everyone around you? What happens if you do things, you only do stuff that you are not going to be forced to lie about, stuff that you can be honest about? What if you only focus on doing that? What if you, instead of becoming a self-serving person, become one who serves others? Then you're going to get closer to heaven, because you are closer to experiencing heaven. I mean, you are going to be someone who will make things better and not make things worse, like the person that creates hell for himself or herself and others. You can be the person that brings about heaven on earth, just temporarily, up until we actually get into real heaven. So yeah, I guess that's a deep one that's on my heart also. Where did that come from? But I do think heaven can be a very real place for many. Ask someone who's dealing with a terminal diagnosis and their families. They're going through hell. Ask someone who has overcome that those people might be, experiencing heaven. So I think heaven and hell is much closer than you think. It's not necessarily up there or down there. It can happen on earth. There are times when happiness feels so amazing. There are times when despair is so deep that we think we're in hell or in heaven. So let's be the people who make things better. Let's be the people who can bring about heaven. Let's not be the people who create hell for ourselves and for others. And I think that's about it. I think that was a good episode. Thank you all for watching. Again, if you've made it thus far, congratulations. Please do like and subscribe to this channel. My aim is to help it grow. And be good to yourselves. I think that's an important thing. Be good to yourselves. Be good to others. You probably deserve it.